So the reason we build open source software is we think it's incredibly important that when combinations of large language models are unchained, when they're allowed to explore the world all by themselves, when they can open doors and run around San Francisco, we think it's incredibly important that all humans around those machines can look into their brains and have a fighting chance to understand what's going on. Okay, welcome everyone. So we have a few slides each prepared, and then hopefully there'll be loads of time to think about stuff together. In terms of what we're trying to do at OpenMind is we are building open source software for robots. And for example, Iris, who's standing in the background, the humanoid in the background, currently surrounded by people, is running our software. The way we deal with alignment is we have her emotion shown on her face. She has a little color bar. So when her face is green or blue, she's happy. If her face is red or purple, then she's sad or angry. So this way, just from the corner of my eye, I can look at Iris's face and figure out what her internal emotional state is. So the reason we build open source software is we think it's incredibly important that when combinations of large language models are unchained, when they're allowed to explore the world all by themselves, when they can open doors and run around San Francisco, we think it's incredibly important that all humans around those machines can look into their brains and have a fighting chance to understand what's going on. What information is being used? How is that information being fused? How are decisions being made? Certainly for me, like as a little kid, I was fascinated by very sci-fi movies, Asimov's I, Robot, and so forth. And I was super curious about what that world would ultimately look like. And congratulations to everyone in this room. You're at exactly the right place at exactly the right moment to help build that kind of technology in that kind of world. And of course, we want to be very responsible as we do this, because if a large language model hallucinates, that's one thing. If it allows my engineering students at Stanford to be efficient about their homework and occasionally get a reference wrong, that's one thing. But of course, if you allow combinations of large language models to run around the physical world, then at least in my opinion, we have to be extra careful about how we build the software and how we allow humans to understand what's going on. Next slide, please. So we have pretty strong opinions about this. There's really good news. Right now, there's two major philosophies in robotics software. One of them very much comes from like a Tesla-like background. So if you're building a wheeled robot called a car, then it turns out to be very useful if you have end-to-end AI. You have relatively fixed architecture. You have four wheels. You have relatively fixed number of sensors. And in that situation, what you're trying to do is build software that does one thing extremely reliably. Turn left, turn right, accelerate, or stop. And in that situation, end-to-end AI is awesome. What we're interested in is a different type of robotics. We're interested in situations where the form factor of the robot can change suddenly and perhaps unexpectedly. Another leg, another arm, wings, wheels, other types of sensors. So we want our software to be incredibly easy to adapt to different kind of form factors, and we also want robots with one form factor to be able to contribute skills to robots with other form factors. So our software is really built around this notion of having many small models work together to, in aggregate, bring about amazing functionality. That works really well for difficult cognitive tasks, for tactics, for decision making, for engaging humans, and right now works very poorly for anything that requires fine motor skills. And that's why everything we work on is much more focused on things like healthcare or tactics or sophisticated navigation of cities as opposed to ballet dancing or iPhone assembly or things requiring like a very tight control loop of sensor data and physical motion, we avoid all of that. So our software emphasizes tasks where even with latency of about a second, we can still do amazing things as opposed to needing to like balance on one toe. And the reason we open sourced everything is because we want a lot of humans to be able to contribute to the software, and we want them to be able to peer inside, develop trust in the software and understanding for what it's actually doing. And so we're very relieved that this many small model idea works, because that's really the key to building modular software. But anyone, probably the people in this room, are inventing amazing new things and trying to push the frontiers. But of course, in some sense, we're playing with fire. So I encourage everyone to be thoughtful, to engage in conversations with many others, and try to build systems that are open, that allow other people to see what's going on and have a fighting chance in understanding them. And I'm, of course, honored to be here with Ben, who is, I'm sure, very much aligned.
I can just introduce myself really quickly. So yeah, I'm Ben. I was AI researcher at Meta and Tesla for the last 10 years. I'm now starting an open source humanoid robot hardware company called K-Scale Labs that we've been working on this for about a year and a half. I do have some slides with some cool pictures somewhere. But, oh yeah, here we go. So I can just introduce myself really quickly. So yeah, I used to be an AI researcher. This is my crowning achievement. This is a voice changing model that let you like make voice dubs of Kanye West singing different songs. Got pretty popular in the open source community at one point, and now, you know, I sort of am working on something else, but you go to the next slide. Yeah, so I started K-Scale like about 2 years ago, just because I was really concerned about the direction that humanoid robot hardware was going. So I personally think humanoid robots are going to take off. I don't know who else agrees, but like I think it's going to be a time when, like in the not too distant future, when there's going to be probably 1 million or 5 million, 10 million humanoid robots just kind of walking around your house and doing stuff in your community. And right now it's pretty scary to sort of imagine that future with a bunch of like robots from Tesla or Figure or whatever other company is kind of currently operating in the space. I view it as just like sort of a moral imperative to have a hardware platform that's open source and auditable and not just going to like go and kill you if you don't align it properly. But it's like not something that there's a lot of financial incentives to build, so it was kind of up to us to build it ourselves is my kind of view. So I started with a bunch of 3D printers in my garage and just like, yeah, I did YC. Actually, Emmett, the guy that just spoke, he was my YC group partner, which was pretty cool. But yeah, we made this humanoid robot called Stompy. It was like fully 3D printed. Yeah, we had it stand up. These are our 3D printers in our garage. I can go forward. I went to China for a few months or a few weeks back last year and just kind of met a lot of the people in the Chinese humanoid robot hardware ecosystem. It's a very big ecosystem, actually. I don't know how many people like really follow this stuff, but basically like, yeah, there's just a huge number of developments in China right now in the robotic space. Yeah, so I met with the CEO of Unitree. This is Wang Xingxing. He's a super cool guy. I went to their office in Hangzhou. This is my friend Haru. He's a very cool guy too. Went and saw the like Fourier intelligence robot. That's really cool. But then there's like all these other robots. Like this is one from this company called Noetics in Beijing. They're very like kind of lower end, like a more affordable robot. Like basically there's just like a bunch of companies in China right now that are building very competitive robots. And so the question for me to figure out was like, well, these companies are very willing to work with me. They like this kind of like open source collaboration environment. Like how do I bring a robot like kind of that level of hardware sophistication to the US, like manufacture it in the US, build it like with a sort of open source hacker mentality in mind, which is kind of the evolution of K-Scale. So yeah, we started building this robot. This is the first version of the K-bot. It was just like literally build it in our garage. Our team is not big. It's just, we all live in the same house together. But we have this, just like CNC'd aluminum. And the idea is it's very similar to the G1. So we just wanted to like make it like kind of as good as any like Chinese hardware, but kind of as a sort of fully open source developer first robot. Yeah. Oh, you can show a video of it walking around, maybe. This is like the first like kind of walking test that we did in Beijing when we sort of first assembled it, and this was like practicing doing some like flipping stuff with frying pan. Okay. Yeah, and so basically after that, we were like, the robot was pretty much a prototype just to learn about how to do stuff, and we started working on the final version of the robot, which we called the K-Bot. This was the first assembled it in our garage. This is like the first like sort of first time that we fully assembled it. It was pretty cool. I don't know. I think robots are just like really, really sick personally, and this was just really cool for me to be able to do. Oh yeah, we manufacture it in Texas. We're going to manufacture in Texas. We just sort of finished this, have this deal with this company that currently builds golf carts. And golf carts are very similar to manufacture to humanoids. So they make it in formerly the site of the Dallas Morning Post. It's a newspaper. And I guess they don't have much demand for newspapers anymore. So they're clearing it out and putting humanoid robot manufacturing lines instead. Here's our product launch video. With the music, it's very good. You should trust me. The music hits the beats perfectly. And then a little extra thing, we also have this little mini robot that we call the zeroth bot that we also made that's like just a lot cheaper and it's just like much more affordable. So because the full size one is still about 9K. It's not like super affordable, but we wanted one that still people can make themselves, and there's only like $350. You can build it with your 3D printer at home. And we do hackathons. I think Clovis is here earlier, but yeah, we host hackathons and just people kind of mess around with robots. I don't know. Philosophically, I think that like it's really important for like this whole ecosystem to just kind of maintain like the sort of open source hacker mentality. Like I think humanoid robots, in my opinion, are going to be like the most dominant hardware platform of the next 10 years, and there's not that many chances to actually influence the direction of very dominant hardware platforms. Like once it's already kind of out there, you can't really like start again. And right now we're starting, and so it's like before everyone has realized that something is going to be big, that's when you get to actually do something about it. And in my opinion, it's very important to do something about this to make sure that it goes the right direction. So yeah, that's what we got. So yeah, 3-step plan. 1 is build the future, 2 make it open and accessible, and 3 is just repeat. And yeah, I'm very committed to this for the next like 10 years. And very happy to work with anyone that's like just wants to work on this with us. Please buy our robot. I'm not a very good salesman, as you can tell, but I think like we're planning to do this a lot. But it's like there's not a lot of money in open source stuff, and the only reason that it kind of works is because people just believe that it's the right thing to do, and very smart people will sort of work very hard to make that reality happen. Like I think like technology is not something that just kind of unfolds like by itself. It's something that individuals will do themselves, and you as an individual can move things in a different direction from how it would go otherwise. That's my strong belief. But kind of need to sort of demonstrate that this is something that people want, and the way to do that is by selling robots. So yeah, that's our pitch, and also help make it better.